You are listening to all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything with the urban sports scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Howell, Virginia. Wole is your host. Still waiting on the homie Mo, but Ray, Jeezy, and Glenn are out. It's time for the Washington Football Team postgame show. The Washington Football Team loses to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. But I got my homie with me. I've had my man Adam Aniba from the Burgundy and Gold Report. Adam, what's good, my man?
Hey, what's good, man? Yeah, that was it was an interesting show, but to be in it as long as they were, to me that was amazing. But yeah,
definitely, I agree. I think that. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. This show will also. Well, excuse me. You can find this show on the Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM Hopewell, Virginia's Facebook and YouTube pages, and on Twitter at 1340 AM Fox Sports. It would also be on the Urban Sports Scene Twitter feed at Urban Sports Scene and on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. You can comment and tweet us about anything you see on the show. But yeah, like I mentioned, the Washington Football Team lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17. Obviously, COVID hit this team pretty hard. Missing key players like Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller. These are individuals who have kind of played significant roles in this, positive play of late. First off, your thoughts on the football game, Adam?
A couple things went right early for them and let them get out to a 10-point lead. But, honestly, they had no business really being in this one. The defensive line starting the attack, minus Chase Young. Yeah. They really didn't do anything tonight. So it's still the same problems remain, with those first, 5-6 weeks of the season. It's still the same shit. So,
Adam, we're on Fox. Gotta be easy. We're on Fox. Relax.
But, I wanted to say from the defense, but, I wasn't expecting much in the quarterback play. But, we have to talk about Turner because they just continue to, run Gibson to the ground. They have no idea what kind of commodity they have, and they really have a guy I think that can be a lot better than he's being used. And, I think tonight just continues to show Scott Turner's incompetence. It's getting ugly with him.
So when you mean another back that's capable, you're talking about Jared Patterson, am I correct?
Well, no, it's not about who's better. It's just I think Gibson. I think if you can get that guy out on patterns where he's comfortable, you talk about the fumbling issues. He's not used to holding it high and tight like running backs are. You know what I mean? He's had to adjust. So getting him out in patterns, getting him out where he's comfortable, can make plays. They continue to just try to pound him or run him on the outside. You have Jared Patterson. I think you should. Williams. I think they have a couple guys that they can just rotate. But I think first it was the shin. Now we're talking about the toe again. That came up again tonight. So. For the remaining couple games, when you have a situation like that, I think as an offensive coordinator, more dual back sets, more things you can do. What they did with Carter at the end, I like that play, but I think you got to do a lot more like that because he's just very vanilla and he's just very predictable. The defense always knows what's coming with him.
Yeah, I just think that it goes back to what we talked about. I mean, what I've stated a lot, period. Even with any quarterback they've had in the system, you have to create an identity. In that 4-game winning streak, you create an identity of running the football, and it gets to a point where you got a guy in Gilbert, and God bless him, man. He played hard, especially not knowing that he doesn't know the all. I mean, come on now, you're just coming off the street. Now you're the starter, and you played hard. You made a big pass to Scary Terry for a deep play. No one really expects you to have like this great outing anyway, but you're putting a lot on him. Like there are situations in the game where it's just like watching, and I use an example, and I'm not saying that Gibson is Henry for the Titans, right? But as it gets to a point where when you have limitations in the quarterback situation, you just got to lean on him. I don't care if it's a negative play on first down. This is your best player offensively speaking. At a point in time, he was leading the NFC in rushing, so that means that's your guy. Like you got to pound him. Like you don't put it on the shoulders of an individual that has barely seen action in NFL this season. You had a situation where you make a big play. He makes a big play to bomb. It's 7-0. He's throwing the ball, I believe, on second down. I'm like, run the football, just run it. Like you have a guy right here. If he gets positive yards, gets even closer, we're talking about maybe an opportunity to get 14 instead of 10. You know what I'm saying?
Some play action on first down. If you do some play action on first down, it can allow you more high percentage runs on second. But the stuff that he kept calling to the outside. Listen, this offensive line, they just can't sustain the kind of plays that he's calling. He's calling it as if this is a fully intact line. You just got to call normal plays. Patterson, he dropped it on that. But you got to, you got to just keep using all of them. Running through, just pounding through the middle. But I think that if you can get Gibson just out of out of that watch, I think right now he's dealing with a lot of injuries, and the
Of
best way to
course.
do that is just to get him out. To keep doing what they're doing. I just think it doesn't make sense right now. I think mix it up with the other running backs. Exactly. That's your identity. But again, I actually just sat down with Keith Ishmael's father, and we were talking about him getting in. What he's been expected to do. And I think against Cox, he actually held his own a little bit tonight. But
Yeah.
this offensive line is in no shape to compete with any real defense this league. And Eagles, they're halfway decent. So if they have to struggle at the end to really pull this one out, so I'm not impressed with their chances going forward. But I think Washington, it's more than just players right now. It's scheme. It's a lot of things they need to fix.
Mo, what's good? My man Mo's on the show. He's online. Mo, so your thoughts on the game, my man?
Man, I think Gilbert came in and coming off a short week and just getting there over the weekend. I think he played valiantly. I think defense let him down in terms of the run game, but I mean, you have to consider all the facts that there's a lot of D linemen and front seven personnel out of the game, and they took advantage of that. And then you couple that with Jalen Hurts, his legs and his mobility, and him extending plays. Whether he's extending plays or he was actually rushing, he had 2 rushing touchdowns a day. Became the Eagles' all-time season leader. They showed a commitment to the run. Miles Sanders had a brilliant performance.
Sure did.
Miles Sanders came up big today. Wet conditions. Just that old school gritty football, man. Old school gritty NFC East football. You know what we're gonna do. We know what you're gonna do. Line it up, knock them down. I just don't think Washington had enough players to make this a contest and really win this game. But they fought valiantly, being undermanned and being shorthanded, losing guys during the game as if they needed anybody else to be out the game.
Right.
Not having that rotation on the D line really, really hurt. You can tell. So it goes back to fundamental football for me. This game, it was a wet game. The team that was the most physical, the most physical team won.
Yeah, I'm with you, Mo. I was listening to you as you going live. I was listening to you on my other thing, so you were saying some real stuff, Mo. But listening to what you're saying, I agree. To me, I thought the defensive line could have played better. Obviously, going against, I think the Eagles, what they did was against a unit. I know they missed practice or whatnot, but you still had a lot of your bodies anyway. And I just thought Miles Sanders was dynamic. Yeah, just having that situation where you have a dual threat quarterback in Jalen Hurts. We talked about this, last week, Mo, about how this defense tends to struggle against real mobile quarterbacks. And, having that dual threat of having Hurts in the backfield, knowing how mobile he is, and having Miles Sanders too. Obviously, they put a lot of pressure on the ends and in the defensive line as a unit. I definitely think Cam Curl was missed, man. I just felt like Cam Curl against Goddard is a matchup that, it wouldn't have been that lopsided. You know what I'm saying? Like, watching what Cam Curl has done over this winning streak has been dynamic as one of the better safeties you could tell in the NFL, the way he was playing this winning streak. And not having that body in there, and not even having the Kendall Fuller, knowing you had to go in with, some other guys playing at that outside. Kendall Fuller has been playing good football on the outside. And, for all the talk, and I've been a fan of Reeves, but Reeves got torched today, you know what I mean? And he was kind of, feeling it. So you just see a difference in, when you're missing important bodies. But I don't want to take them off the hook in terms of the run, what we saw for the Eagles against the run. I mean, what they did against the run with the Eagles. Because I kind of think the Eagles did it against some of their better players, to be honest with you. Like, you still had Jonathan Allen out there. You had Payne, you had Ioannidis, you had Settle. I mean, just keep it a buck, man. I mean, they did what they did, man. Like, I'm going to give them credit with that. But in terms of passing game, individuals running over, like, you're not having some of your guys that have been valuable for you, especially we talk about the tight end situation, how Goddard was running free. Like, you didn't have Cam Curl, and I felt like Cam Curl would have helped out a lot. Not to say that he would be strapping Goddard. I'm not saying that, but it would have been harder for Goddard to get open.
Definitely. I think also what it would have allowed them to do is put Landon Collins, closer to the line more in the game, because I think, he was just out of his comfort zone all day, and you could see that he made some plays when it was there, and that's the thing. But the best way to utilize him in this defense is just at the line with Cam Curl, Roman, and the free safety is just interchangeable right now. I'm not impressed with McCain. I think McCain, he does enough, but I think he's easily replaceable. But yeah, like you said, it just comes down to that defensive line that's really been underperforming. And I think I've been giving JDR a pass because I talk about Turner so much. Turner's young. So at least I should, we got to talk about that. But with JDR, he's a savvy veteran, and he's just not making adjustments. I don't like if it's not working, you got to do something different. And I know these linebackers right now, they're not built to chase around quarterbacks and running backs like this. They need upgrades in those areas. So, going into this offseason, I think there's a clear path. I think offense, and then you got to get those guys on defense that are really going to be able to stop the modern day NFL quarterback, because the days of the pocket quarterback that's really just that statue guy, the Glennon type, that's going to become a dying breed. I think, at most, the quarterback's going to be able to run, 4.65, 4.7 speed coming out of college. So I think you have to be able to defend that. And if you don't, you're not going to go anywhere.
The homie George hit us up with a comment, said Jack Del Rio did a terrible job tonight, and got completely outcoached by Philly's offensive staff. I think Jack Del Rio definitely struggled. I've been giving Jack Del Rio credit over the last some of my games, including last week against the Cowboys. I thought he's done a great. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought he's done a great job on this winning streak, and even the last some of my games. Other than today, has been probably his worst outing in a while. To be honest, coaching in terms of coaching performance in a while. But there's just a lot. I feel like you just got to kind of adjust with the times and adjust with the team and your unit, and kind of put people in a situation like I would have. It is what it is. I just feel like they're like, for his system, he was missing some tools that he needed. Like, for him to operate the way he wants to operate, he was missing some tools. It's hard. It's definitely hard. The Eagles took advantage of it. They definitely took advantage of it the way they wanted to take advantage of it. And I'll give them credit to a certain extent. I do think that Jalen Hurts played a hell of a game. But to your point, Adam, that this is a situation that's going to have to be fixed about playing mobile quarterbacks, because Mo's a Giants fan. He's seen it with Daniel Jones, what he's done to this Washington football team defense. And now you got Jalen Hurts. You're going to go against teams who have very mobile quarterbacks. And the good ones can beat you could beat you with the arm and beat you outside. So if you want to be a defense, you're going to have to find a way to tailor your defense to a point when you play those mobile quarterbacks. Because I know we understand if you're playing against a dynamic weapon like a Kyler Murray, who can beat you he's a dual threat where he can throw that rock and he's just so dynamic running the football. But you're going to have guys who are in the lower tier that you're going to have to be able to stop. And this team has been shown to not be able to stop even those individuals. So that's something that he's going to have to kind of figure out, down the road. But I'm going to get something positive. Like, what are 3 of the positive things you got coming out of this game? I'm going to start with you, Mo.
3 of the positive things I got out of this game was
for Washington.
For Washington, let's go Gilbert playing on short notice. Let's go, whether we like it or not, the coaching staff's preparedness to compete. And then I'm going to go Montez Sweat coming back and having some instant impact.
Yeah, true. I agree with that. I can dig that. Adam, what about you? If you can find anything positive, Adam, don't be super negative, Adam. Find me something positive.
I'm having a hard time tonight.
I know, man. I know, man. I know.
The 2 turnovers early on, like, to me, you take away those, it's a different story. So to me, they're still an opportunistic team, because in the past they're just they're getting their doors blown off 30-0 or 30-10, whatever, and the turnover margin is way uneven. So the time of differential and the yards were killer in this game, but you got those turnovers, lucky or not, whatever you want to call it. And Jeremy Reeves, that would have been 3. So he got mossed on that one. So that was embarrassing. So you don't like to see that against division teams, but it's not much to find. But yeah, I say we take those.
But don't you feel bad? But don't you feel bad for Jeremy Reeves? Everybody's been kind of trying to get him on the field, and he has that type of experience. It's awful, right?
That's going to be tough. It's going to really hurt him. They're going to look at the film on that. That's going to hurt him. Some guys coming back. He'll get lucky because some guys are still hurt or on the list, but he's not going to last. Keep getting past it to come back to Washington if he blows.
Yeah, that was tough, man. I ain't gonna lie, that was tough. All right, George also posted 3 positive. Terry McLaurin, obviously always positive. Gilbert throwing the ball down the field was a little better than Heineke, and Carter's kick return, even though it got called back. Yeah, I thought that was an interesting callback.
Yeah,
that is one I absolutely love. Carter is one of my huge breaks. I had an article as soon as he was signed, and I think he's making the Pro Bowl. It sounds like it's unanimous right now, unless it changes. So.
No.
Yeah.
Terry,
what you about to say?
I was saying Terry's definitely a positive. You know, I can say that every week. Yet another starting quarterback. What's that? 12?
Bro, it's a joke, man.
It's a joke right now, man.
It's a joke, man.
This guy's in his first 3 years of his career. Excuse me, guys.
You good, bro? You good, bro? You good?
First 3 years of his career, 12 quarterbacks. This is insane.
It's insane, man. It's just I feel bad for that dude, man. Real talk, I feel bad for that.
I see all the fans. They think that they've seen enough, shine from Heineke that they think they can pass a quarterback in the first round. Listen, it's not just about a quarterback. You're going to lose Terry McLaurin if you don't invest. If you don't invest in that position, he's going to be gone. You can do fifth-year options, try to tag him, but he's a class act. He'll eventually walk. He'll get as much money and then he'll walk. So you have to make that move and pull the trigger in this draft, one way or another.
Like Adam, who would it be? I don't see a guy in the first round that's worth.
I'm just getting started, man. That's the thing. You're getting carried around with the narrative because I think they the media likes to put last year to this year. Listen, Lawrence and Wilson, we were talking about them, how good they looked, and you can blame it on the coaches and the system and injuries and whatnot. But guys like I think Malik Willis is someone that's going to take a year. I don't think you're going to see him. I think I put him in the ballpark with Lance, and we were sweating Lance, a lot of people last year, and now he's starting to climb up from the 20s to the top 10. I just put out Corral. I think Corral is a guy that nobody wants to really talk about because of his size. But, man, look what he did against the SEC. You just got to look at level of competition. 2 sprained ankles all year. Look at the numbers. What I look at as an evaluator is year to year. The turnovers literally got cut by 3/4 with Corral. So that's one guy I like. But Pickett, he's a guy that I'm coming out with next. I absolutely love him. Broke Dan Marino's record at Pittsburgh. So if you think none of these guys are first round worthy, I have to disagree. This is a supply and demand league right now. There's 10, 15, 25 guys ahead of them. Yes, at least. But it's about what do teams need. There's at least 5 or 6 teams that are going to be taking quarterbacks in the top 15.
And I don't think that he's not a first round, or either of them are not a first round quarterback. I just don't know that you want to move up to get them. I don't know.
I think people are caught up with the RG3 stuff. It's not gonna necessarily be 2, 3 first round picks. I think wherever Washington ends up right now, they're trending pretty bad right now. So you're talking about. I think they probably finish in the realm of 12 to 13. I think that's where they end up picking to get up to probably 8, 7 to 8 or 9, where I think they'll get one of those guys. I don't think it's going to take much. Well, that's what I'm going to be preaching to everyone. It's not going to take much.
Well, to me, you need somebody that, for Terry, and because we're wasting years, you need somebody who's going to be playing well off the bat. I'm going to be honest with you. He's already wasted like 3 years. So regardless, if the quarterback's ready to play now, he's ready to play now. I don't know if any quarterback in the draft is ready, and for where Washington's going to draft that, will be able to play now. They may need a year or 2. I don't think he has that in him in terms of what he's going to wait for, because he's at this level right now. They've already wasted enough years on this kid. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're better suited if they can is to get a better, whatever quarterback they can get, a vet who's good, like who's really good, who can really get to do the numbers he deserves. Like, I'm just being real. Like, he's missing out on great years, and he's really missing out on getting the bag that he deserves. Like, it is what it is.
He's getting that bag regardless.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I'm saying, though? But there is this levels to this thing, though, right? Like, they're still bargaining. You know what I'm saying? You know, but by watching film that he's that guy, right? But it's cool to be that guy with the numbers, though. The numbers makes the money better. The numbers make the money better. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, eventually they're going to have to find a way. You can't go into situations where, we can go with Kyle Allen and Heineke. We can do that. Like, that's a joke. Like, you're wasting, you're wasting years.
A level of commitment. The thing is, if you or me can sit here and disagree of Corral or anything,
exactly.
Right away. But for someone like Harry, it's about a business move, and it's going to be like, okay, I'm looking at the option here. I'm looking at 1 tag, 2 tags, because it'll go that far with it. Sure,
exactly. Yeah.
So you're talking about 3+ years. So yeah, I think he's going to be like, are they investing in that or not? And I think there's no way Snyder's going to avoid pulling it because of Haskins and everything. I think they're going to find a way to do this. But again, we'll talk about all that, but there's a lot more picks in this draft that are going to be able to make impacts, other than the quarterback. So,
I agree. I totally
the
agree.
way it's trending right now, exactly. They'll have some chips because we can talk after the season ending, but all this investments in the defensive line, and I think we're not showing dividends. So you have people like Montez Sweat, you have others that everyone other than John Allen right now is probably and Chase Young. I don't think he's on the block, but anybody else I think is in talks. That they could try to move for some pieces. So I think as a team, you have to think about doing that. To say that now you're 2-3 years away, they're certainly not. So I think you have to seriously consider getting more draft pieces, and it's definitely going to start with some of the defensive guys.
Yeah, I just think that it's at a point just by watching today, prior to what we saw, what we saw last when we saw a couple weeks that it's time to take quarterback serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's time to take quarterback serious. You know what I mean?
And one thing that's going to be a big factor, and it's not just this year, with Zach Wilson and Lawrence. I've been watching a little more film in them. It's a big transition, and the main transition is what fools like Urban Meyer were trying to run in Jacksonville, and what they're running in the Jets. With the Jets, they're still finding their identity. Zach Wilson can do a lot more than they're giving him. But I'm going to tell you, the whole spread concepts, RPO zone read, that's going to be coming along with these guys coming in the draft. So Pickett, Corral, all these other guys, even a guy I love out of Western Kentucky, he'll be a day 2 guy. Zappy, broke the touchdown record this year. Those are guys that can come in with those kind of systems. So I think if the way it's trending right now, I really hope that they're looking at another offensive coordinator, at least an offensive coordinator, if not both sides of the offense and defense. Because right now, I think you have a decent enough talent to be playing better than they are.
I got the homie George on, man. Hey, George, what's good, man? I mean, I see your thoughts about the game. It seems like you have a lot to say. But in terms of quarterback play, man, do you think it's a wrap? We're done with this whole getting some type of placeholder quarterback?
I mean, we've already got a placeholder quarterback. His name is Taylor Heineke. He signed for next year on backup money. That's not an issue for me. I mean, I'll be honest, after that Dallas game, I'd be very happy if he never threw another pass for Washington. I'll say that right out front. But I'm in the draft a quarterback in round 1, that it absolutely has to be done. That people that are saying, oh, this isn't a good draft for quarterbacks, I think they don't know, honestly. Because to me, I understand what Adam was saying about it's not going to be like RG3, but it would have been expensive to trade up last year, and I didn't want to do that, especially because at 19 there were some really good players that unfortunately we passed on. We took Jamin Davis, and hopefully that's going to work out eventually. Right now it's not so great. I'm firmly in the Matt Corral to Washington camp at this point. I know we got a long way to go on all that. I also want to say this, and this isn't going to be popular, but it's true. This game should have not been played tonight. It should have been played Sunday or not at all. It is nonsense that this game wasn't forfeited in Philadelphia's favor. Philadelphia is disadvantaged by this, having to play in 5 days only. They didn't do anything wrong, just like the Raiders didn't do anything wrong. And I also hate to say this true, but it's true. It's justice that Washington didn't win this game tonight. Because if Washington had won this game tonight, it would have been a grand injustice. Now, granted, I would have enjoyed it because as long as the body bag game remains in my memory, I don't care what happens to the Eagles because they deserve every terrible thing that ever happened to them because of that alone. But they shouldn't have had to play this game tonight. And I think it actually would have been better for Washington to have had a forfeit and to just rested up and got ready for Dallas because they can still win the last 3 games and get in. I know people are going to be like 6-8. New Orleans is in front of us and we lose the tiebreaker with them. I am not buying that New Orleans is getting to 10 wins with Make-A-Wish at quarterback. I don't care what happened last night against Tampa. And if it's a 3-way tie, we're going to have a better conference record than anybody if they win the last 3. And I think they can still do it. As crazy as it sounds, look at how bad Dak Prescott was last week against Washington. Look at how bad Philadelphia was when they tried to do anything but run the ball tonight. They weren't really good unless they were throwing to Goddard. And I don't understand why we could get cut up like that by Miles Sanders. We should have been playing run all the way. And I hated, and again, I didn't have the sound on because I was browbeaten into going to trivia tonight. So the game was on because it was on in Sarasota, thank goodness. But I didn't have the sound on. But I just couldn't understand how they were just opening these large holes against us when we should have known it was coming. and I don't want to hear, oh, we had players out. Mobile quarterbacks have killed us since I was a kid. And tight ends have killed us for the last 20 years. That had nothing to do with who was out tonight. So,
they had one of their best guards out tonight too, and they didn't miss a beat. So
exactly. And we got, and actually another positive was I think Cosme got through the game all right, and getting him back and him playing is just because we just need somebody that's a first or second string on the offensive line because we don't have many of those at this point. So. That game was frustrating because they of course all gave us hope at 10-0, and that part wasn't enjoyable. But I still feel like they can win out and get to the playoffs at 9 wins. So I'm not despondent that they lost. I'm more annoyed that the NFL backed off what they said at the beginning of the year because they said they weren't doing this again after last year.
Hey Mo, do you think this ends their playoff hopes? Did I lose Mo?
Yeah, I think he's frozen.
Impact their defense.
There you go.
If they get the ball back and they get some pieces back, there's a shot. I'm not closing the door today.
Okay. So Adam, you think it's a wrap?
Say that again, man.
I got echo. Adam, do you think it's a wrap? You think they're done?
I think that they can win probably 1, maybe 2 of their next 3, but I don't see them sweeping, and it's just for multiple reasons. I just think that you feel that momentum or not, and I just right now I don't feel it. And when saying that, I can come out and really bring it back next week. I just don't see them going 3 in a row right now. I just think there's too many question marks.
So how does this team bounce back? I'll start with you, Mo.
How does the team bounce back? They get some players back, man. As simple as people on the field. You can't expect Gilbert to come on the field tonight and win that game. Nobody should have put that pressure on him. Like Greg said, this game should have been basically, it probably should have been forfeited, like he said. Like, so, to go from possibly forfeiting the game to getting it pushed back to them playing tough and respectable with a guy off the street that was just giving his daughter a bath in the tub, according to the broadcast on Friday, and having to make his way over. I think they asked more than enough of him, and he produced.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that if I'm a football fan, I know George. I know you're saying 3 in a row, but I'm all about how you play. You know what I mean? Like, right now, that the offense has been stagnant. I could talk about Scott Turner all day. Everybody knows how I feel about this individual. But the offense has been stagnant, and for 2 years, regardless of it, there's always an excuse with the quarterback, with the offensive coordinator. It's Alex Smith has a bum leg. It's now the quarterbacks they have. It's always something. First, before the Alex Smith thing, is okay. The quarterback situation will be better because the quarterbacks have legs now; they can move, and you have the same problem. It's still a stagnant offense. So, regardless of what it is that until this offensive coordinator does something to stay consistent, you know what I mean? Because in the 4-game winning streak, he had an identity, but he tends to kind of sway when he can, he feels that he can go a different route, and then that's when he has his issues. But until him as a play caller, until he has some type of consistency, some rhythm, then that's when this team will be a better team. And in this stretch, I think it's too short.
Well, you're the importance of a quarterback, man. We know the quarterback.
No, I get that. No, but I'm gonna tell you this again. Like, this is what it is. If you're this is the issue I have with the Turner situation, because a lot of people come out and said he's a genius. I hate that term. They said that he's a genius, and I'm gonna tell you this. I've watched Mike Martz have bum quarterbacks come in and put up 300 yards easy, and I've seen a genius. Like, I've seen a genius. I've seen geniuses have have had so quarterbacks and made it. Mike Martz. Yeah. Hey, am I lying? Hey, Adam and George, am I lying? Am I lying? But see, thank you. Like, the argument, Kyle. Like, look, Kyle Shanahan too. Kyle Shanahan. He had old boy from Iowa look hard. You had old boy from Iowa look hard. He had Bobby Beathard's son look hard. So I'm just telling you, if you want to be like, so that's what I'm saying. If you're going to use the term genius, right? If you're going to use that language, genius, then he ain't the one. Don't make him out to be that, because I've seen, like George has said this, Kyle Shanahan has done it with less competition, less talent, and turned players around and made them look to a point where they look, hey, you know what, this could be a starter. You know what I mean? So you had the boy for the Texans, I believe. We'll say it was T.J. Yates. He made T.J. Yates look adequate. Like, so
Look
all
at
I'm
Nick
saying
Mullins last night compared to when he was in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So I'm just saying, like, don't use the term genius if he ain't that dude. That's all I'm saying. Like, obviously he's not that guy. He's a coordinator. That's not he's a coordinator. That's what he is. Right? You're right, Mo. If you're not that type of guy, you need a quarterback. I totally agree with you. But don't say he's that guy. If you're that guy, there's some things that you can do to Adam knows that there's some things you can do with your offense to be innovative to help your quarterback out, right? To make those passes easier. Like Kyle Shanahan went into a game where Garoppolo threw the ball 8 times and still looked efficient. So I'm just saying, like, you can be a coordinator to be effective without having that guy. Like, that's all I'm saying. So to me, looking at this stretch run, he hasn't proven to be that guy. And you're going to play against the Cowboys defense looks better. I've always said the Eagles defense has always been a decent defense, regardless of whatever people want to say. The defense has been good. Even the Giants defense competes. Like, regardless of what you think about them, they compete. So your offense is going to have to do something, regardless of who you have. Like, it's going to have to do something. You know, because the book is out there now. If you take away Gibson on first down, they see that Kyle is willing to throw that rock. You know what I mean? Like, the book is out there. If Gibson doesn't get a positive first down, he's ready to throw. Like, he's ready to throw. He's ready. So, and the quarterback play with this team isn't good enough to start throwing the ball 30 times or so forth. So that's the issue they're going to have. So, Adam, I'll let you go, Adam. It's like you want to say something.
You know, and I'll piggyback off what you said. You know, when Taylor Heineke comes back, you know, they need to go tempo, you know, right away. They need to move that pocket. Like, ways they can be innovative, there you go. Because what that does is that can control, you know, time of possession. That can get the Dallas linebackers all over the field. You know, as good as Parsons is, get him running sideline to sideline. You know, try to wear him out. That's the best chance you got. If they don't come out and start running Heineke again, like they were, you know, in the past, that's his game. I don't understand where they try to force him in that pocket. If you want him to throw, cool, get him out of the pocket. But if we don't see that tempo, RPO zone read stuff, which I think that's exactly what they need to do for remaining 3 games, they have no chance. But I have the feeling they're just going to continue to, you know, rely on Gibson and try to, you know, use him as, you know, a bell cow back. That's not what he is. I wish they would stop. And I like him running the ball, but I think you got to mix it up. And you just got to, you know, the 2 running back sets, if they don't get back to that, they got a chance. Because without Thomas and about the other weapons, this offensive line right now, they're playing from behind constantly. So, you know, like I said, I've learned a lot from talking to, you know, some of the family members of the offensive linemen. And it just sounds like, you know, they're really encouraged and they're hyped up. But I think that they want to run the ball. But I think what the bottom line is, you can't be predictable. If you want to run the ball, just don't be predictable. And Turner, he's the definition of that.
So, George, you said play Kyle Allen next week. That's what you want. Why, yes. George? Why do you want them to play Kyle Allen next week? Why?
As I said, Taylor Heineke, that Dallas game, that was it for me. It was so awful. And look, if for no other reason than this, Terry McLaurin threatening people deep is one of the best weapons we have. And the only guy on this roster, although Garrett Gilbert got a nice one to him tonight, that can actually throw that ball down there where Terry McLaurin can catch it and maybe do something with it and get a touchdown is Kyle Allen. There ain't anybody else on this roster that can do that. And if you want to run the football like we did in that winning streak, you at least have to threaten somebody deep once in a while. And look, we know what we have in Taylor Heineke. I don't mind giving Kyle – I mean, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I don't mind giving Kyle Allen a go at this point. Because – you were both right, what you both said. What Adam said is absolutely right about if he's back in there, the RPO and getting him out of the pocket. But what you said, Wole, this team is stagnant. They are stagnant on offense. The only time to me this offense looked good tonight is when Gilbert was actually throwing the ball down the field. The problem is he didn't have time to. And so they didn't have the confidence to throw it because they're looking at that line going with our 4th string center and with, you know, who this guy and who that guy in there because all these other people are hurt or on COVID or whatever. You don't have the confidence to give him the 5 or 6 seconds you need to toss one down there 50 yards. So hopefully that's going to be better next week. But with Dallas, it's the same. I go back to what I said last week when we were getting ready for that game. We can run the ball on them. I really do believe that. We got to start there. Is there any chance McKissick's going to be back next week?
No, he's out.
No, he's on IR.
So that just okay. So that takes that out. We'll use Jared Patterson. I know he had a fumble tonight, but he did have a touchdown too. Use both these running backs liberally because that's going to set that stuff up for us down there. It's like Dallas is everybody in this NFC is vulnerable, which is why if they could actually get in, you never know what can happen because this whole NFC is messed up. Everybody's flawed. Everybody's got a real questionable thing about them, including Dallas, because Dak's playing terrible right now. So I would like to see Kyle Allen next week. It might not work, and that's fine. I just don't want to see Taylor Heineke. I'm kind of tired of looking at Taylor Heineke at this point. That Dallas game for me was the last straw.
Hey Mo, what's the best route for the squad, bro? And quarterback then. What see you?
Heineke, man. Let Heineke finish it out, man. Let Heineke finish it out. He's proven himself worthy to get him this far. He already came in the season with a lack of a portfolio, and now we have a more extended look at him. Get him back in there. I don't believe COVID should be I don't believe that Dallas game, especially after that 4-game run that he had, and a couple of other games earlier in the year, should be the axe for him. Let's see how he bounces back. Let's see if he can use that and bounce back from adversity and show some qualities of a leader. Right? You still want to groom this kid for anything to be ready to be the backup if anything happens in the quarterback room, right? So you still want to give him that confidence. You still want to give him opportunities to go out there and get some reps under his belt and see some more. And then you can make a real deal decision about him later on when the season is over and emotions are not involved. You know what I mean? Like you're not in the moment. You can take a wider scale view of your team and see where he fits. And then, move on from there. But I think he's definitely deserving of his opportunity to start back again because he only didn't play tonight because of COVID protocols. I would love to see him out there today. I think he's a gamer. I think if Gilbert played that well on a short notice, I think Heineke could have done a little bit more and made it close.
So you think Gilbert would have been? You think Heineke would have made? Well, Heineke, because he knew the system.
Exactly, he knows the system.
That's about. But that arm ain't changing.
Come on, man. The guys without majority.
Oh, I'm with you, bro. Look, you ain't gonna hear me. I'm not even arguing with you, bro. I'm with you, bro. I'm a man. Cornelius said on Facebook, you can't run the ball against Dallas. They're lying, drag watching all over the field last week. You also said, Scott Turner is not a genius. The offense is predictable and pretty dry. Somebody could call these unimaginative ass games. Hey, all right, man. Appreciate you, Cornelius. Man, I'm not gonna get on Scott Turner because Mo, you already know this, man. This gets redundant if I talk about him. It's like I'm hating, and everybody's gonna think I'm hating. I don't have time for folks to think I'm hating on Scott Turner. You know what I mean? Just I know nepotism in the league is real. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Nepotism in the league is real. But so I'm gonna start with you, Adam. I know you're not optimistic on the season, but if you were, what would you tell the Washington fans about about a chance for a playoff run? If you were optimistic.
Well, the thing is, there is always with the remaining schedule. I said this weeks ago that I did have optimism because it's NFC East, and I think you've seen in the Super Bowl era, and when Dallas won the Super Bowl, how we played against him and vice versa. So I think there's always a chance they play different against each other. So yeah, this remaining game, I definitely think Dak gets knocked out for any reason, that's their ass. So like I don't think that they can come back from that. And with the Giants, they're going to be having. I think it looks like Glennon's going to be on here on out.
It is.
So there you go. So I think if they can beat Dallas and then come against Philly and then come back to Philadelphia, I think they can win. But COVID protocols aside. Taylor Heineke is dealing with the elbow, so we have to remember that. So he's not going to be able to get the ball downfield. And again, that's a concern to me. That's a legitimate concern. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of dink and dunking next week if he's the quarterback.
I'm laughing I'm laughing because it's a concern because his elbow is dinged up. His arm isn't strong enough anyway. His arm isn't strong enough anyway. George, I'm going to go to you. Why should fans believe that they have a good chance to make it to the postseason?
I'm going to say this because I'm also going to respond to what Cornelius said because the reason I don't agree with him is that They called 10 passes out of 14 plays to start the game. By the time the first quarter was over, they were down 20-0. So you had no idea whether they could run the ball against Dallas because they were down 20-0 after one quarter. Here's why they got a chance. That 4-game winning streak, they beat Tampa, they beat Seattle, they beat these other teams. They held the ball for a long time. They ran the ball. They kind of hid the quarterback because he only had 22 to 25 throws. They sort of hid the defense too because they were only on the field for 20 minutes. That formula will work against anybody. It'll work against Dallas. It'll work against Philly. It'll work against New York. So that's what I say. They have a winning template. It's just a question of whether Scott Turner can get his head out of his rear end long enough to actually go back to that, and whether they're willing to stick with it, even if the times get tough. And that for me means that, and again, if they win these 3 games, they're going to be 9-8, and they're going to be 8-4 in the NFC. And unless they're only tied with New Orleans, who they lose the tiebreaker with, any 3-way or 4-way or 5-way or whatever way tie, they're in because they're going to have a better conference record than everybody else. So that's what you can hang your hat on right there. That's how they can get to the playoffs, just as long as somebody beats the stinking Saints. Because if they get to the playoffs with Taysom Hill, my head's going to wobble right off my body.
And then we talking about quarterback play. You know what I mean? That's a whole different thing. Sean Payton's a genius, though. Sean Payton's a genius. Mo, I know you're a Giants fan, but it doesn't really matter. Here, it's the Washington show. So, what would you tell Washington fans? How would you give Washington fans hope for a playoff run? What would you say to them?
Defense travels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that defense travels, man. I mean, they gave up a lot on the ground today, but they were undermanned. They were shorthanded. It was a weird game, man. It was just a weird game. It was a weird game. I can't this is I remember my coach in college. He was like, "This the game tape that you just throw away. There's no even point in watching it.
Uh-huh.
You know what happened? Game's over. Throw it away. Don't waste no time on it and move on. Because trying to find reasons for what happened today is only going to hinder you on a short week with what's coming around. The Cowboys are chomping at the bit. They're trying to repeat the performance from 2 weeks ago. So
Facts.
You need to be all in. Everybody needs to be in the building tomorrow. Come in, get your rehab, get everything you need to do, weight room, all that. Get the game plan, get the studying, and move forward, man. Throw this one in the past and move on. But that defense travels. Once everybody's back, they will perform. I think Jack Del Rio got caught between a rock and a hard place today, and that happens from time to time. He can fix some things. Unfortunately, William Jackson got hurt, so that's going to be something to look out for.
All right,
especially
man.
with the this weekend because you're down a premier corner.
Facts. I'm trying to see. I saw the tweet. Trying to make the comment on Facebook. See if I can find it. But hold on. Can I find it? Probably not. Hey, I see it. Here goes a post on Facebook. My man Darian Williams posted, "I've never wanted my team to lose, but what does a playoff run do to fill the big void on our squad? We need a quarterback, and drafting one mid to late in the first ain't gonna help." I mean, look, man. I think that they need to get something. That's hard. Like, they need to get some type of quarterback. They need this organization needs somebody. I just think you can't go into the season. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Adam. Go for it, bro.
Aaron Rodgers talking about. I wish because it's Facebook. It's constant. About Aaron Rodgers. No way is Aaron Rodgers, Wilson, or any other veteran coming to Washington because they're not in the situation that's ideal. Like Ron Rivera, great guy, good disciplinarian. Not a coach situation, not a city situation, not an owner situation. Yeah. So I think you have to embrace the idea of a rookie quarterback no matter what, because you're talking about Flacco. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about guys like that. If you're talking about free agency, because it's draft or that. So again, even in the mid round, if you have to trade next year's first and then a couple of the picks, okay, but it's not going to be an RG3 type because they're not picking at the end of the first round. That's just not going to happen. Worst case. They'll be close to where they picked, where they got Jamin Davis. But I really think they're going to end up in that 13 to 14 range.
I hear you. So, Adam, before we end off the show, how can folks catch you on social media and tell them how they can check out your content?
as always, find my stuff at the burgundyandgoldreport.com. We released our second player evaluation card today for Matt Corral. We'll have right now we're going to have weekly drops even leading up to Christmas. We got a safety coming out, another wide receiver, but last year we did 22 evaluations with our first year with the new site, but right now we're on pace to have at least 50 going into the draft. So check us out at the B&G Report on Twitter. And again, we have a own YouTube show. It's B&G Report Happy Hour. Took a little hiatus to do some draft evaluations. Like I said, after watching about 50 guys, I'm ready to get going. So yeah, just check us out, the burgundyandgoldreport.com. Hail DC.
Love it, Adam. It's good to hear you too, man. Last time we had technical difficulties. It's good now. I'm happy. This is going down. I'm glad it's going down. Hey, George, how can the fellas and the homies and the ladies out there in the world on the social media scene, how can they catch you on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at Temp the Rat. And also, I do a podcast about VCU basketball, the post game to their games called VCU Rams Rewind. So if you want to hear me talk college basketball about VCU, do that. That's on all your podcast platforms, Podbean, Apple, all sorts of places.
All right, man. That's dope, man. VCU, they got a chance to make the tournament this year?
They do, but they're in a COVID pause right now. So they had 2 of their games canceled, and they probably need to win 14 or 15 A-10 games and then have a good A-10 tournament to get there. If they had beat Baylor and they were close to beating Baylor, they'd be in a much better position.
They're better than my Hoyas, man. They're probably better than my Hoyas. Hey, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Sorry that the Washington football team disappointed us all in terms of the Washington fans, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. But like some of the individuals have stated on this great panel, that there's still some hope. So they will still watch. The Cowboys will always give us a hope anyway, because we'll be emotionally invested in that game. We are always emotionally invested in that game. But anyway, tune into that game, and we'll have a show right after that too as well. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Podcasts. Just search all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything with the Urban Sports Scene. Also tweet us at Urban Sports Scene and hit us up on our Urban Sports Scene Facebook page. Again, appreciate you all for tuning in. You've been listening to all Burgundy and Gold Everrrything with the Urban Sports Scene on Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia, 4 ages. You dig? Deuces, a mega. Lead us out, big homie.
I'm sorry, George. I called you Greg. Man.
That's no problem. I don't worry about stuff like that.
I was trying to play it in my head. It's a G. It starts with a G. Which one is it? Which one is Greg?
We still live. We still live. Relax. We still live. Make relax. When Glenn puts us up, relax. We're still live. Glenn, you gotta take us off. I'm live. I ain't gonna be live forever, Glenn. I'm live, Glenn. Folks, looking at me, Glenn. They're still looking at me. I'm swimming now. Look, I'm doing swims and look, Glenn. I'm live. Cut me off. I'm not real. This is a mirage.
How'd you feel about Jamin's play today? I thought he looked. He
wasn't good. He wasn't good. He just wasn't good.
He looked lost out there today.
Y'all getting overtime with the Urban Sports Scene right now. Yeah, he wasn't good, man. Jamin wasn't good.
That pick.
And I like
Darrisaw was there at 19, and that's going to eat away at me for a while, because that would been left tackle sorted, I think, for the next decade. He's doing real well for Minnesota.
Darrisaw was getting beat like a drum last night.
That's true. Yeah.
He had a rough night last night.
Yeah, that's true. Last night he didn't do well.
I know him personally.
God, the Bears should have won that game last night.
Yeah,
they had so many chances.
Robert Quinn went to town on him yesterday.
Man,
Robert Quinn went to town on a lot of people this year.
As you should. I didn't know Robert Quinn had 15 sacks or close to it. Like, I didn't know he was like
craziness.
We gotta leave. We're gonna have to leave. We still live. So I'm gonna leave.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna leave. We live. All right, y'all. Everybody who saw the overtime late night with the Urban Sports saying bye.
See you.